If you're looking for some key hints and tips on how to master King Shark from someone that's played a lot of King Shark, and a quick overview of builds that will help you just starting out as you approach the end of the campaign and dive into the end game, then be sure to stick around and enjoy the video. What is up guys, Jarv here, back today with another Suicide Squad video. You may recognise me from some of the Suicide Squad Insider episodes. I had the very fortunate opportunity of being able to play test a early version of the game. Now King Shark is often seen as the tank character in Task Force X. And whilst that may be true, he can also deal incredible amounts of damage, as well as having some of the best survivability in the game. Now each character comes with their own passive talents that are active all the time. For King Shark we have firepower, and with his innate strength he can handle heavy weapons with ease, improving their stability and by boosting their damage by 20%. That's alongside strength and dominance. This will boost his health by 25%. And for every combo this will increase his damage reduction by 1% too. And that's followed by powers of the Ancients. This is King Shark's main traversal ability, including the Apex Pounce, vertical launch, the quick descent, and the aerial dash. King Shark is one of the quickest characters over a short distance, and with his predictable traversal he's an absolute breeze when it comes to navigating the battlefield. Now a few hints and tips with his traversal: you can actually alternate between Apex Pounce and vertical launch whilst you're charging it. So for example, if you feel like you need a vertical jump and then all of a sudden those circumstances change and you need to cover a vast distance, then you can continue the charge using the other keybinds, allowing you to instinctively switch between the Apex Pounce and vertical launch as and when required. Now whilst King Shark is one of the largest characters, he can actually float quite well in the air for prolonged periods. So actually using the quick descent to ensure you're not an easy target for any pesky snipers, then this is a great way of getting you out of the line of sight, whilst also allowing you to save key resources on your main traversal ability. Now from here we're going to take a look at 3 quick builds, and these will continue to evolve as you work your way through the game. Unsurprisingly, the very first build that you're likely to have with Shark is heavily focused around melee. A couple of key talents to keep an eye on early on are Punishing Strikes. This is where melee hits cause enemies to take 50% more damage from all sources, but your melee cooldown is increased by 2 seconds. That's alongside Ocean Blessing. So once you get ×5 combo or higher, your melee damage is increased by a further 20% and your shield harvest chance is increased by 10%. And that's followed by Land Shark. So at 10 times combo or higher, your Atlantean drop traversal attack damage is increased by 50%. Now what you will find within the talent trees are recommended playstyles. Each character has 3 of them. For King Shark you have Artillery, Predator and Survivor. So if you're not too sure which talents to use depending on the way that you want to play, then this is a great place to start. So if you activate the talents that are linked to either Artillery, Predator or Survivor, then this will help you make some of the right choices when it comes to putting together your very first builds. Now as you work your way through the main story, you'll earn an absolute ton of awesome loot, and your build will continue to evolve. But based on some of the early talents that we've chosen that focuses around melee, a couple of standout choices for your loadout include the Prism Pinata. This is a legendary blade, and shield harvesting kills now drop grenade ammo and a damage buff. And if we pair that with something like Bang, which is an awesome legendary grenade, this limits you to carrying 1 grenade at any one time, but each grenade does 500% damage and has 100% bigger explosion radius. Now naturally, a character like King Shark's survivability is absolutely key, so we have the Best Offense as a traversal mod. This not only provides a plus 45% for grenade pickup radius, which you can customize later on from Toyman once you unlock the ability to do so through the support squad missions, but the main talent here is by hitting 3 or more enemies with your traversal attack, which is your Atlantean drop. This now fully recharges your shield. Early on this will help keep you in the thick of the action, with any enemies that you shield harvest dropping grenade ammo as well as a damage buff, easily allowing you to capitalize on one of the strongest grenades in the game and increasing your grenade damage by over 500%. Now, King Shark can use assault rifles, shotguns, and miniguns. Shotguns and miniguns are absolutely top tier on King Shark. You'll find additional talents that help improve shotgun damage, and with his passive talent of firepower, any minigun he uses gets an easy 20% boost to damage. Those are just a few hints and tips when starting out the game, and a few key firearms to keep your eye out for as you progress through the story. Now, moving on to the mid-game, as you approach the end of the story, a few key talents in your talent tree to consider are things called Blood in the Water. So at 30 times combo or higher, performing a shield harvest causes the enemy to bleed for 50% of the damage dealt over 10 seconds. You can get some absolutely huge damage numbers from tick damage just by activating bleed. That's followed by top of the food chain. So at 20 times combo or higher, performing a shield harvest has a 100% chance to make another enemy within 10 meters shield harvestable. And this can only happen once every 30 seconds. But shield harvesting is not just a great way of building up your shield, but also dealing incredible amounts of melee damage. And that's followed by Jaws of Life. So at 30 times combo or higher, melee hits regenerate 10% shield and 30% health. Again, we're still heavily focused around melee, and by building up our combo and inflicting melee damage, this damage is not only boosted, but so is your shield and health. Now, for our mid-game build, we've got a few infamy items, as well as notorious items, and even a villain synergy. The infamy set we have is Bane's Rage, which you can get from early incursions, and here we have the punch through shotgun. Now, successful critical reloads with this firearm trigger a stack of frenzy, and at 3 stacks you unleash a wave of venom frenzy. This crazes all enemies within 20 meters and can only happen once every 45 seconds. Now, the Bane's Rage infamy set is heavily focused around melee hits, craze, and grenade ammo, which is a continued evolution from our early game build. So it's with that in mind we still have the Bang grenade equipped, which is where we're limited to carrying just one grenade, but it deals 500% more damage, except this time we've paired it with the Black Mask's Bullet Storm, which we've activated the villain synergy bonus called Terror Behind the Mask. Now, this is where you get any non-vehicular kills. This builds up stacks of Terror Behind the Mask up to 5 stacks, and the next enemy you craze deals 500% more damage while it's alive, and you deal 500% more damage while it's alive too. This stacks on top of any boosts to your melee damage or shield harvesting, as well as the already powerful Bang grenade. And finally, to help with our survivability, we have another notorious item called the Turtle's Still Force Conduit. Now, for each second spent standing still, this adds stacks of Still Force Conduit, and each second spent moving removes stacks and adds a stack of Speed Force Exhaustion. Now, Still Force Conduit increases damage reduction by 5% per stack, whereas Speed Force Exhaustion increases damage done by 50% per stack, and this effect can stack up to 10 times. So basically, whilst you're not moving, you'll automatically have a massive boost to damage reduction, and whilst you're in motion, you'll have an even bigger boost to your damage. It's a great traversal mod as you enter the endgame, and one well worth keeping an eye out for. Now, the key trigger for this build is to be able to inflict Venom Frenzy, which will cause enemies to craze. Once you have Craze active, this will trigger the infamy bonuses on the Bane's Rage infamy set, which will help boost all your grenade damage. And with our traversal mod, as long as you're in motion, this will further boost all that damage, or if you find yourself completely surrounded, then you'll get extra bonus damage resistance. So as you can see, this is a strong mid-game build and a perfect introduction to the end game. And like before, we're continuing the evolution when it comes to our main talents in the talent trees, but this time we're moving over to the tier 2 Bane's Wrath set, which is available through incursions, and combining that with even more notorious items and multiple villain synergies. Now, much like Bane's tier 1 infamy set, the tier 2 Bane's Wrath set also has a 3-piece bonus. Now, the first bonus increases craze duration by 10 seconds, and enemies you craze now deal 20% more damage for each 1% of health they're missing, and slowly builds up craze when dealing damage. As well as that, you deal 1% more damage to an enemy for each 1% of health they're missing, and to round out the set, when you kill a crazed enemy, or an enemy you crazed kills another enemy, you trigger a stack of Bane's Wrath. This lasts for 60 seconds and increases the damage you deal by 50% up to a maximum of 750%. And there's also a 50% chance to trigger Bane's Wrath when you create an enemy that is below 100% health. Now, unlike the tier 1 set, which was heavily focused around grenades, this one heavily leans into craze, but in doing so gives you a huge damage bonus of up to 750%. Now, the 3 infamy items come in the form of the assault rifle, grenade, and shield mod. And much like the tier 1 set, the tier 2 assault rifle called the ringleader has exactly the same perk. This is where successful reloads with the firearm trigger a stack of frenzy, and at 3 stacks you unleash a wave of venom frenzy. Now, as you can see, that's a perfect combination with the main talents on the infamy set, allowing you to afflict enemies without needing to use the affliction on your grenade or melee weapon. That being said though, so we can do some targeted affliction, we have added a venom frenzy affliction to our melee weapon, which is a notorious weapon in the form of the Two Faces Persuader. Now, for every melee hit on a crazed enemy, this has a 50% chance to drop either a live grenade or grenade ammo at the enemy's feet. That's alongside the villain synergy, which is called the True Face of Fury, and by harvesting enemies, this now has a 100% chance of dropping grenade ammo and also increases grenade damage by 100% for 20 seconds. So what this tier 2 set is effectively allowing us to do is still take advantage of some insanely strong grenades, but in combination with Venom Frenzy to further elevate our damage. And to help make our afflictions more deadly, we're using Jinx's Unlucky Coin. This is also a notorious item. There is no villain synergy currently active in this build, but this will allow you to gain 750% increased damage to a specific affliction for 20 seconds. Now, these afflictions do rotate, and you also gain 250% increased damage to afflicted enemies regardless of the affliction applied. So by combining Venom Frenzy with Jinx's Unlucky Coin and some pretty deadly grenades, which will be freely available as a result of Two Faces Persuader, all these synergies together help form a very deadly build. All in all, the builds on Shark are a perfect example of the evolution of your build as you work your way through the game, discover more items, as well as experimenting with different perks, talents and augments to see which ones work for you and which ones really match your playstyle. Suicide Squad really allows you to play the way that you want to play and gives you almost complete creative freedom on all your items and how you approach your next encounter. As you can see, the possibilities are endless. Now, to really show off this build, I'm going to let some footage play out of a high tier mastery run using this very build, and be sure to let us know what your build looks like down in the comments below.